The nominations for the Game Awards 2025 are out. The lists have been published and the debates have started. But there is something interesting happening with the best mobile game category this year. On the official list, there are 5 nominees. But if you look at the actual conversation, the one happening on social media, in comment sections, and among the biggest creators, it is not about 5 games, it is about 2. This isn't just a simple vote, it is a story. It's a story about a major shift in the market, a shift in power, and it tells us a lot about what players and what the industry actually values. And that is worth looking at. If you appreciate this kind of breakdown, the story behind the story, a like on the video and a subscribe to the channel is a simple, no-cost way to support me. It is always appreciated. Now let's look at what is going on.
Let me introduce you to LD Shop, a formal game top-up platform developed by the trusted LD Player Emulator Group, guaranteeing safety and reliability for your in-game purchases. LD Shop offers unbeatable prices on Wuthering Waves Lunites and other in-game items like the Lunite subscription or Battle Pass. You can easily compare their prices, which help you save up to 25%. This means more pulls, more resources, and more power for your favorite resonators. Now let's talk about the top-up process. For Wuthering Waves top-up, you need to provide your game UID and password to LD Shop's secure system. It is crucial that you do not log into the game yourself during this recharge process. Once completed, they will securely log out and clear all login records. For maximum account security, they even recommend changing your password after completion, which is a great practice. This ensures a smooth and secure transaction every time. It is 100% safe and there is no account that got banned until now. Buying your Kuro account here would help completing the top-up quicker. It is streamlined, efficient, and you will see your Lunites or subscriptions appear in your account in no time. And here is something awesome for all of you watching. If you're a new user and you register using my special link, you will get a fantastic 15% off coupon. That is a massive saving of up to $50 on your Wuthering Waves top-ups, letting you grab more Lunites for less. Plus, keep an eye out for an exclusive 5% off bonus you might activate just for being a first-time user. And for those dedicated rovers who want to keep pushing their limits, if you spend over $80 in 1 month on LD Shop, you can claim a free Lunite subscription just for topping up what you normally would. Make sure to claim it on the LD Shop homepage. So if you're looking for a secure, affordable, and efficient way to top up your Wuthering Waves account and get those crucial Lunites or a subscription using my link in the description, LD Shop is the way to go. Now let's get back into the video.
When we look at this year's best mobile game category, the first thing that stands out is the disconnect. A disconnect between the official list and the real conversation. On paper, the Game Awards has put forward 5 names. You have Destiny Rising, Persona 5 The Phantom X, Sonic Rumble, Umamusume Pretty Derby, and Wuthering Waves. Logically, you would expect the conversation to be a 5-way race, a debate about the merits of all 5. You would expect articles comparing their pros and cons, but that is not what's happening at all. If you spend even 10 minutes looking at the discourse, what people are actually talking about, you see a completely different story. You see the memes, specifically the battle of the greatest edits, like that Jujutsu Kaisen one with Gojo and Sukuna. When you look at those, you don't see 5 game logos, you see 2. It is Wuthering Waves and Umamusume. And by the way, I'm gonna keep calling it Umamusume because Jeff Keighley said it that way.
Umamusume Pretty Derby.
Anyways, that is the most interesting part of this whole thing. The community and even major influencers have efficiently and immediately dismissed 60% of the official nominees. They haven't just criticized them, they have completely ignored them. They are seen as irrelevant to the real race. This tells us the story isn't who will win from this list of 5. The real story is why it instantly became a 2-horse race. Why did 3 of these games not even matter? The reason the conversation is so small is that these other 3 games are technicality nominees. They each got a nomination because they checked the box for the jury for one very specific, isolated reason, but they failed to win over the public as a complete, compelling game. Let's just look at the cases, right? First, you have Persona 5 The Phantom X. This is the best art direction nominee. When I look at the praises, people praised it for its artistic fidelity and production value, and that is just a fancy way of saying it looks and sounds identical to the main Persona 5 game. The music, the menus, the art, it is all there, and it's all 10 out of 10, and that is what the jury saw. The public, however, saw something something completely different. The feedback on Twitter isn't about the art, it is brain rot. Or someone even said, "Your crack-addicted son." And here you have Asmongold just flat out mocked it, asking, "Why would I want to watch that shit?" The public consensus is that the game is ruined by greed, and it feels predatory. So the final verdict, what everyone basically agrees on, is that P5X is a beautiful skin, stretched over a critically reviled or hated gacha system. It got nominated for its looks, not its heart. The next case is Sonic Rumble. If P5X was nominated for art, Sonic was nominated for numbers. This is the commercial impact nominee. The report is very clear on this. 15 million players at launch. That is an earth-shaking market event. A jury, as industry observers, cannot ignore a number that big. But there is a problem. The 15 million people who played it doesn't seem to like it. The game is sitting at a 49% mixed rating on Steam. The public feedback isn't, "Wow, 15 million players." I've seen people saying, "This looks ass." This is a textbook case of IP penetration, intellectual property, and in this case, the Sonic brand. It just means that the Sonic name was powerful enough to get 15 million people to click download. It wasn't powerful enough to make them think that it was a good game though. And finally, Destiny Rising. If P5X was art and Sonic was numbers, Destiny is the technical achievement nominee. And to be fair, the praise here is valid. It is a massive technical achievement in translating the Destiny gun feel, a very complex, fast-paced shooter, into a mobile phone. Getting that to feel good on a touchscreen is incredibly hard to do. And they did it. But you know, that's it. It is the forgotten nominee. I mean, look at the conversation. The only mentions of it are in past tense. It was received very well. It is a game that made its point. It proved a AAA shooter can work on a phone. It was a great technical demo. But then, the conversation just moved on. It didn't have the heart or the addictive loop to build a lasting community that could compete with the other live service giants. But that is just the games that are on the list, right? Perhaps the most significant part of this entire category is the name that is missing. There is a HoYoverse size hole in the room. For the first time in years, Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Zelda Zone Zero are nowhere to be found. Oh my god, let's get some claps, everybody! And this is not an accident. As multiple creators pointed out, this is the end of an era. And for a long time, HoYoverse was this category. Their games were the automatic default benchmark for quality, at least on the promotional side, right? Their nomination was a given. And now they're gone. I mean, people have been saying that Genshin and Star Rail have become worse games in 2025. It starts to feel less friendly to the players and more focused on the players' wallets. And that is the perception that everyone's talking about, right? This absence defines the 2025 race. The fight isn't for a small award anymore. It is a battle for the best title in what you would call a post-monopoly market. Usually HoYoverse, right? The company that has all the control. But now, that company is absent. The old king is gone, or at least no longer nominated, leaving a vacuum, a giant empty space at the top. And this is the vacuum Wuthering Waves and
Umamusume
are fighting to fill. And it is why this fight is so much more significant. Which brings us to the main event, right? The real conflict. Because the real conflict isn't as simple as which game is better. It is a big divide. It is literally a conflict between two entirely different definitions of what best even means. On one side, you have the gamer's game, Wuthering Waves. The entire story here is the redemption arc. This game had a rough launch. It was buggy, poorly localized, and the community was not happy. But the developers did something rare. They listened. Oh my god. The community today praises its consistently high quality updates. They talk about the Renacita update, the 2.0 patches, as this massive turning point. It wasn't just a fix. It was a relaunch of the game, overhauling the story and performance. The key phrase you see repeated everywhere, the core of their supports is devs listened. This is why Asmongold, when he made his choice, was so clear. He called Wuthering Waves infinitely better. He said it was much more of a game. By more of a game, he means it requires more skill, more active player input, thanks to its deep combat and parry system. Its nomination, its entire case, is a reward for execution. It's for having best-in-class combat. It is for respecting its players. It is for mastering a genre, even if they had to fix it first. And that is one side. On the other side, you have the cultural juggernaut,
Umamusume, Pretty Derby.
The story here has nothing to do with the redemption. It is about cultural phenomenon. The community calls it addictive, a 10 out of 10 game. Somebody called it a generational project. This is a game based on a bizarre premise. Anime girls who are the spirits of real-life Japanese racehorses. It shouldn't have worked on a global scale, but it did. The impact of Umamusume transcends the game. It bleeds into the real world. The key piece of evidence for this is based on a Twitter user. They were so engaged, so into this game about horse girls, that they started watching real-life horse racing. I mean, think about that. The game's influence is so strong, it changed their real-world hobby.
Umamusume.
His nomination isn't for execution, it's a reward for innovation. It is for creating a new bizarre and wildly successful genre, a roguelite's idle sim racer. It is for having a massive, undeniable real-world cultural impact. And so you have these two contenders, right? One is the perfect execution, and the other is a massive impact. Without the Genshin. Get it? Genshin with no impact. And by the way, that is the real choice. But for that choice to matter, it is important to understand how the winner is actually chosen. Because on the surface, it looks like a popular vote, but it isn't. There are really two separate elections happening at the same time. First, you have the 10% fan votes. This is the noise. This is the part you're seeing all over Twitter. This is the, "Oh my god, guys, vote for our game" campaign. The people spamming this aren't making an argument for why their game is best. They are part of a mobilization effort. They are trying to get a reward. They know if their game wins, the developer will probably give out free gacha pulls. And so this 10% vote, that is not a real debate. It is just a campaign for free stuff. It is transactional. And then you have the 90% jury vote. This is the signal. This is the real decision. This vote is controlled by over 100 global media and influencer outlets, journalists, critics, the people who write the reviews. This is who actually decides the winner. These are the people whose job is to analyze games, and they're supposed to be looking at the bigger picture: innovation, artistic merit, and long-term impact. And this is the final tension, because the quote-unquote gamer's choice, the choice of content creators and people that I've looked at, Asmongold, Mudahar, all of them, is Wuthering Waves. They see it as the better game. But the analyst predictions, the ones coming from a research standpoint, is that the jury might go a different way. They predict the jury, which has a history of valuing goofy or impactful stories, might be swayed by Umamusume. And they have a good reason to think that. It is exactly what happened last year when Balatro won. Balatro wasn't even the biggest game, but it was seen as the most innovative and critically acclaimed design. The jury has a history of rewarding smart new design, and that makes the Umamusume case much stronger. And so in the end, the 2025 best mobile game category is less of a competition and more of a story. It is a story about a market that is in transition, a market that is moving on. The 3 technicality nominees, the ones that were immediately dismissed, they show us something important. They show that just having good art or good tech or even massive sales numbers by itself is no longer enough. It is not enough to win the conversation. The audience have matured. They demand a complete package. And so the winner, the one that takes the award, will ultimately be an answer. It is the 90% jury's answer to a single philosophical question. What does the industry value more right now? Will they reward execution? Will they look at Wuthering Waves and reward the developer that listened, redeemed their broken game, and perfected a genre? Or will they reward innovation? Will they look at Umamusume and reward the game that broke the mold, created a new bizarre cultural phenomenon, and had an impact that stretched far beyond the screen? It is a rare case where both contenders have a legitimate, a real claim to the title, but for completely opposite reasons. It is a fascinating situation, but I'm curious what you think when it comes to defining the best. What carries more weight for you? Is it a developer's perfect execution and their response to the community, or is it a game's sheer undeniable impact on the culture? Let me know your thoughts below, but that is all from me, 𝗖ecie_𝗆𝗆𝗿𝗵𝗁, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers!